me and you and the people out there must rise, the patriots, and force them to, we're in control at the end of the day. So if it happens, good, but still, we're going to take control regardless, and the people will be the winners at the end.
Well, good evening, folks. It's really a good evening here because it's 11:17 in the evening, and this gentleman's all the way out in Australia. And so there's a huge difference in time difference. I think it's like a 14 or 15 hour time difference. We got the one and only CryptoRick here. Rick, I came across one of his videos with Block Swan, and I was literally blown out of my chair. And that's not too easy to do when you own a chair as big as mine, okay? But I mean, I was so excited about that video. I put it in the Telegram group, and people went wild. And I'm sure you probably got a few subscribers because we got about 30,000 people between the three rooms that we run on Telegram. I'm sure you got a few subscribers because we reposted that video more than once. But before we get started, folks, as usual, okay, if you had any kind of debt forgiveness, whether it is car loans, student loans, mortgages, credit card, it doesn't matter. Contact me at QFS1776@gmail.com and put debt forgiveness. I want to be on your show in the subject line, and we'll give you, 20, 30 minutes to tell your story. We'll redact all your information. We'll show the proof. NESARA is very real, folks. Make no mistake about it. I will be a son of a bitch, but no one's going to steal my thunder. At the end, when it's all said and done, I'm going to be the godfather of the NESARA movement. Make no mistake about it, okay? Also, do me a favor right now. Hit that pause button. Go over to Rumble and make sure you subscribe over there at Rumble. QFS1776.com is not maybe, but 100 trillion% the holy grail of what's to come. If you are scared, listen, I understand, okay? But the videos that we put there are very elementary, and they're put in a chronological order. I don't care if you're a 75-year-old grandmother, if you're a 22-year-old kid, it doesn't matter. Anybody who watches the video, top to bottom, you'll understand what this is. We're burning down the old system. We're never going back to the old system because we're out of the ashes. We'll rise the phoenix, and that phoenix is going to be XRP, XLM, XDC. This is the biggest transfer of wealth. I'll say it again. This is the biggest transfer of wealth. This is going to be the most amazing thing that we'll write about for the next 10,000 years. Okay. Also, gold and silver down below, promo code Mel Carmine. Don't even waste your time. Seriously, I mean that. Don't waste your time looking for cheaper prices. They just simply don't exist. $8 billion in sales in 33 years. We deliver the gold directly to your doorstep, okay? Also, unified TV. On earth as it is in heaven, we're bringing in the next genre of filmmakers and storytellers and docudrama series guys, okay, that will tell you the story of what we see the world being like. And we're going to create this incredible, it's going to be the age of Aquarius. It's going to be absolutely biblical. Also, join our Telegram down below. If you're scared about this quantum financial system and you need somebody to take you by the hand, we got people in our room that will take you by the hand and teach you the ropes. Okay, listen, if someone comes at you and says they're Mel Carmine, they try to help you one-on-one, that's a scammer. Stay in the room. As long as you don't, trade, you don't exchange your passwords or show them a screenshot of your whatever it is you're looking at, or your passwords or your key phrases, you're okay. Stay in the room. Anybody could walk you through any of the applications. See, I realized early on that this was so difficult that the average person can't do it by themselves. But I always say that not one man, not one woman is an island. But if we bring a bunch of people together, everybody's got a little piece of the puzzle. And sure enough, the pizza guy was right, okay? And we're figuring it out. And people are buying their XRP, and people are going to become wealthy. I want to be known as the guy that, down in Costa Rica, that there's an extra 100,000 multi-billionaires because of that crazy guy down there with the big share. I'm a scam artist, they say. I don't know. I think I'm a nice scam artist, if that's what I am. Also, if you want to buy $10,000 worth of XRP or $100,000 or $100 million worth of XRP, I'm the guy you come see. Why? Because I'm connected. I'm connected to over 300 brokers all over the world, and I could get you as much as you want. We have over 350 satisfied customers that have been going back and forth 5, 6, 7 times, and they all say that the brokerage firms that we deal with are absolutely 100,000% a 5-star operation. And once you do it the way we tell you to do it, you're going to get spoiled. You're never going to want to do it any other way. Brother, CryptoRick, man, you blew my doors off with Verson. That video was absolutely biblical. We put it in the room at least 3, 4 times. People went nuts. I watched it twice, okay? And Verson is absolutely, he's a gem, okay? And I'll tell you what, he's going to be the new generation of the XRP Army 2.0. I don't know if you're there yet. You might be still XRP Army, 1.5. But I know that eventually everyone is going to have to capitulate, and they're going to have to come over and say, yeah, Mel was right. NESARA was not a bullshit story after all. You agree? Disagree? Let's have a conversation, my friend. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on, Mel. It's a pleasure to be here. And as I said to you offline, you've got the throne, I've got the crown, and together we're the kings of NESARA YouTube. I'll start off by saying that I agree that NESARA is happening. I've seen a lot of things regarding indictments of those holy weirdos, basically high-level people being arrested and indicted, some of them executed. Basically, I wanted to explain the situation because no one really explains to people. But there's a lot of imposters out there. And again, I use riddles because I think it's important for people to figure it out themselves rather than me saying it word for word. Basically, what we're seeing now is these imposters. Now, you probably are asking, why is there imposters? There's imposters because basically, if you want to catch a rat, but you catch a rat in front of other rats, those rats are going to dissipate and hide. So what do? You replace that rat with a similar looking rat, basically to deceive the others into thinking that the plan is still going ahead. Meanwhile, they get nabbed one by one. And basically what we're seeing here is all of these people have actually been cleaned out, but the appearance is not who they truly say they are. There's a reason why presidents wear 2 ties, a red tie and a blue tie. Basically, it's to distinguish the two. And there's a reason why there's 2 Air Force Ones, because basically there's a decoy, right? We're seeing there's rumors about Trump confiscating all the gold in the undergrounds. Basically, there's talk about, things like the White Dragon and Red Dragon families in China who are really behind the dynastic power in China. And it involves some form of debt restructuring or debt forgiveness, basically with all this gold. So basically what they're trying to do is restructure the financial system and pretty much make it in a way where they don't have to pay the trillions of dollars of debt that the world has been in. One of the ways they do this is through obviously XRP and some other coins, which I can discuss about. But pretty much what we're seeing is a show. And I want to say something interesting that's never been said before, and your channel is going to be the first to hear it. It's not even on my channel yet. Basically, there's rumors that Donald Trump will come back as a king. Now, he will come back as a president, but also there's rumors that he married a certain princess. Again, coding language. I'm not going to mention who. The NESARA crowd know exactly which princess I'm referring to. There's speculation that his real wife or one of his wives is not Melania Trump. That's just on paper or whatever. There's rumors, I can't confirm it, but that he's married to this princess. Basically, what the rumors are is that once Trump comes back in the function of a president, he's then going to come back as a king and then give the presidency over to someone ending in Junior, which again, your crowd will know who I'm referring to. So Junior will take over the presidency. Meanwhile, he'll take over the monarchy. Now, there's basically hints of this. The first is when he stepped in front of the Queen. Basically, what he's trying to say is, I'm the new king now, because you're not supposed to step in front of Her Majesty, basically. The other thing is what he's trying to imply is, this isn't what she seems like, okay? It's not, I'm just going to leave that there. But basically, that's one hint. The other hint is when he went to Saudi Arabia, he was welcomed as a king. In other words, they said, Your Majesty. They even gave him the sword. And basically, when you do that, when you give the sword, it means that it's a kingly kind of title. Now, people are going to say, this is ridiculous. Donald Trump doesn't have royal lineage. There was actually a little girl who compiled everyone's genealogy and found that all the famous people in Hollywood, all the famous, basically presidents and the royal families were all basically linked genealogically. And this goes from time immemorial. So basically what I think is that Donald Trump may have some regal type connections. So that's one theory. The other theory is that Trump is basically a black hat. Now, I'll discuss the two just to be objective, just so people don't think I'm narrowing too left or too right. There's another theory that this is all a show, that Trump's father, Fred Trump, was basically in the club, that, he's working with people like Kanye West and Elon Musk to kind of produce this Psyop. There's a reason why Donald Trump met with Kanye West many, years ago, and we're seeing that Kanye West is now doing all these things. People are saying it's all part of the psychological operation. Some people are saying his real surname is not Trump, but Trump with an F. And they're saying that the same thing with Elon's parents, that they're all basically in the club. And it's not a matter of white hats or black hats, but it's these two factions of elite vying for power. Molly Elmore summarized it as the Davos group and the JP Morgan group. And basically Ripple was initially a black hat thing to produce central bank digital currencies and other type things. And some people are of the agreement that Ripple has been captured by the white hats and is now being restructured for white hat purposes, basically to bring NESARA, GESARA, and the new quantum financial system. So originally it was owned by the Rothschilds, and there's links with David Schwartz as an NSA contractor or employee of the Rothschilds, amongst others. But basically, all these things are coinciding now and will coincide for the next 2 years.
Absolutely. Now, the QFS XRP, in my opinion, I think you'll agree with this, is undoubtedly going to be the bus that drives it all. GESARA, NESARA, the UBI, the unbanked in most of Africa, most of India, most of Southeast Asia. Yesterday, I was at a good friend's house here in Costa Rica, Alberto Marcellini, and his beautiful wife, Zaira. And, I got into not a heated debate because he's a good friend of mine, but I'm trying to explain to him. And he thought I was completely out of my mind. I said, brother, you're in an effing movie. Okay. What you see is not what you get. I said, first of all, Washington, D.C. is completely shut down. I can show you the videos. I got dozens and dozens and dozens of videos. And I proceeded to tell him about that these are potential actors with masks or potential clones, et cetera. And that, we're on version 4 or 5 of Biden, that these guys have been offed a long time ago down in Castro territory on some island there in the Caribbean. And he said, Mel, do you actually believe this? I said, absolutely. I said, why? I said, very simple, because the people out there would use this as an excuse to go rob the 95-inch screen TV they can't afford. So what they do is they give you the clone so that they keep everybody calm, cool, and collective. You understand? Because people are going to use that as an excuse to go loot Kmart, Walmart, Target, etc. We've seen it in the past. I told them Trump is traveling through Space Force. As you know, that Trump created Space Force. As do you know that Space Force works with the Galactics? He almost literally blew a gasket when I told him this. I said, do you realize this guy goes to Mars for his meetings? He goes, you actually believe that Trump travels to Mars? to go to meetings? I said, absolutely. And I proceeded to tell him that there's civilizations that live on Mars. And man, when I left, man, Al Marcellini's head was literally, there was like steam coming off, because I know that his wheels were spinning. This is not a dumb guy. This is a very smart guy. And I told him about the debt forgiveness. I told him about the med beds. Man, he just couldn't comprehend all of it. I'm trying to figure out, how do we tell these people this to where they start to do their own research and they start to maybe scratch their head? Maybe there's a possibility that Mel, because Zira said, you know what? There's a lot of people that believe what Mel is talking about. Yeah, they're starting to come around. But how do you feel about this Supreme Court thing that's going on right now with these three brothers that understand how to go into a court of law and use the Constitution of 1787, because we've been bamboozled, okay, in the court systems, not just in the United States, but all over the world, okay? When you go into court and you have a lawyer that's defending you, and you got the prosecutor, the judge, the police, everybody's against you. Even the lawyer you're paying $500, $600, $700, $800, $1,000 an hour, he's against you because he went to the school of what? Lawyer matrix, and he's been trained to screw you, right? So now they filed some real fancy paperwork, and they got the entire 9 justices at the Supreme Court. Their shorts are sort of tied into a bunch, if you're feeling me. And they have to make a decision. They either have to overturn what happened in 2020 without saying that word that starts with an E, because somebody thinks they own that word here at YouTube, which they don't, okay? Do you think that this whole thing is about to get overturned? And how is this going to play into the reevaluation of things? Please explain.
I think most definitely it's going to get, everything is going to be revised. I think those judges who pretty much betrayed us, betrayed the world, they're going to have their day. And as you mentioned, people are going to be looking for their pound of flesh. Sometimes I sympathize for these judges because some of them, they're blackmailed. They're essentially saying, if you don't do this, it's the silver or the bullet. Which one do you want? Do you want the silver? Or do you want the lead? And basically, that's the reason why our justice system hasn't been keeping these people accountable, because either they're paid off or basically they have threats made against their life. So back to your question about restructuring, I think the Supreme Court I think Trump does have a card up his sleeve where he's going to somehow get the Supreme Court to agree that the events were fraudulent and basically a revision is needed of the outcome. And this will kind of lead in. I am also of the opinion that Joe Biden might step down due to health reasons. And usually when they say that, when they say, they've got health, issues, it goes back to the issue we're talking about before in terms of detainment and so on. And they're usually coded words to justify a period of absences, basically. And it's like when people say, oh, the presidents, they age with presidency. Look in one photo, look how much they've aged in those 2 years, gray hairs. And I say to them, you do not know what's going on, to believe that someone could age that much in 2 years or they look different or whatever. There's obviously more to the story. So that's my answer to your question, is basically that I think the Supreme Court eventually will step in and work with the white hats or the military operations to restore basically the biggest screw of our entire existence.
So the movie doesn't end with communism, correct?
I hope not, but my understanding is they're still chasing the tail of these bad people. So they've managed to get rid of the head, but at the moment, they're still chasing the tail, and the tail have gone into hiding. And my understanding is that Trump basically tried to flood them out of the underground. Because remember, these people are like rats. Once you start to threaten them, they go underground. So my understanding was, and this is what I heard, Trump is basically flooding them out from underground. But to clear out one underground tunnel is not easy, right? And how many tunnels are there? How many undergrounds? We don't know. but it's a long operation, and there's still some people out there who need to be brought to justice. So, you might find that Hollywood in the future is going to be different. There's going to be no more Hollywood actors. I mean, me and you, we might as well join Hollywood, because there's going to be no actors. They're all either indicted, executed, or basically detained, from what we're hearing from this anyway. Obviously, I can't confirm that this is true or not true. This is just basically what's happening with the NESARA is that they're given an ultimatum, right? You either comply and they send a similar person, or if you don't comply, you're done for. And if you do comply, you get a reduced sentence and you go to prison. And that's basically what happened at the funeral of George W. Bush. They were given an envelope, and the envelope purportedly said, they know about us. I'm sorry, the secret's out, more or less. And that's why everyone was shocked when they saw those envelopes. And they actually put WhiteHats in there to stir up the other ones, to say, well, let's now get them to surrender. Let's comply. Otherwise, we're going to be, problematic. And I think they put these little WhiteHats in there to try and convince the other rats, to come in and collect them. And that's how they want to collect them. Because if they just take them out suddenly, the other ones are going to find out and then flee and go underground. And that's the last thing they want. They want to take them out slowly.
Yeah. Well, Saudi Arabia was definitely a very interesting situation. You're talking about the bonfire videos, there's a bunch of like 20, 30-minute clips that are unbelievable, which I constantly put in my room, because there's an influx of new people always coming in, and they're just getting their feet wet with the story, which is going to be the story that's going to be told for thousands of years. I've watched those things as many times as I've watched The Godfather 1, 2, and 3. What do you say about Donald Trump potentially being a time traveler? Have you heard of that one?
I have heard of that theory, and it links, I guess, with his relationships to Nikola Tesla. Apparently, one of his relatives was part of the FBI or CIA that confiscated Tesla technology. There are people that have cited certain photos and things like that. Obviously, Trump, and I think Verson said this, has in possession certain technologies. I believe he mentioned the looking glass or whatever, the watch glass. Basically, I'm not ruling anything out. And from what I've heard is the WhiteHats confiscated CERN. They took possession of CERN, because what happened was, every time these idiots would have their timeline defeated, they would go back into CERN and create a new timeline that's favorable to them. So the WhiteHats knew this, and they're basically like, we have to stop them doing this. So one of the first things they did was seize CERN. So obviously, again, unconfirmed, but I agree with you. I think there's just things that we cannot exclude, basically. And I think that it's possible. I can't confirm it, but it's possible.
Trump, in your opinion, is behind NESARA with the military globally, et cetera?
I think it was originally the Junior. I think that movement was created because he wanted retribution for his father. And then as the time got along, this Junior character started to convince other people, this is a bad group. We need to get rid of them. And these things didn't happen overnight. And it was slowly snowballing. And then Trump, they said, we need to get a Patriot in to, we need to get him into power and enact all these military tribunals. And then that's, I believe, when Trump got involved in the early 2010, like in the mid-20s period. And I think, yes, so now he's definitely leading the movement. But I think the Junior and the other princess are equally as involved in the situation.
Will Trump, in your opinion, first of all, do you believe in med beds?
Yes, I believe Raymond Rife already came up with that concept in the 1920s or 30s, but he was prosecuted for fraud, basically, and they said that, you're just a charlatan, and they prosecuted him and they took him to court and had all his possessions seized. And so I am not surprised if such technology exists. And yeah.
Okay. Will Trump at some point be age regressed, and we're going to see a lot of Trump for many years to come, a healthier, younger version, more vibrant looking Trump? And they're going to let the cat out of the bag. Hey, part of NESARA is the med beds, get used to it, etc. And they're going to tell the world in maybe, over a period of like a week or two, there'll be ongoing programming on channels like mine and yours. And we are, by the way, the new, not actors, but the new entertainment, if you will, of sort. Or will Trump Jr. potentially take over at some point? As I see him more than I see Ivanka Trump being the one that's being groomed to take over. I think the people are more in line with a Trump Jr., because I think a Trump Jr. is more like the pizza guy down here in Costa Rica who's retired from making pizzas, but he's rough around the edges. He's a hunter. He likes to wear T-shirts and dungarees, and he likes to go, hunting for deer with Ted Nugent and that kind of stuff. And that's what people want. People want real Americana, right? So is that a possibility, or do we age regress Trump Sr. and Trump Jr. stays on as a consigliere of sort, and we're going to see Trump Sr. for a long time?
Basically, what I think it's the other junior, not Trump Jr., but FJ Jr., if you know what I mean. I think he might be lined up. If not, you're right, they may put in Trump Jr. Age regression, look, that technology, to my understanding, exists. Heavily suppressed technology, of course. Will they roll it out to the masses? I hope so. But I think a lot of this is going to be a slow trickle. I think it's first and foremost, the priority is the financial system. And then I guess the med beds within probably, 2 to 3, 4, 5 years. But you know what, Mel? It's incumbent for us to take over our destiny today, right? And one of the critiques of that movement is basically it makes us do nothing, and we're expecting other people to do it. And then some people say it's a psyop to prevent us from actively doing something. I don't necessarily hold to that opinion. I think it's happening, but we also have to take the steps today to bring upon NESARA in every one of our capacities. And I can tell you what, black hat or white hat, whoever emerges from that other side, they are going to be accountable to the blue hats, which is us, the people. And we're going to grab their necks so hard, they're not going to be able to look left or right without our permission, because we've had enough, and everyone has had enough. And we're tired of picking horses that we don't know the outcome. But I can tell you this, whoever emerges, white hat or black hat, the blue hats, i.e. me and you and the people out there, must rise, the Patriots, and force them to, we're in control at the end of the day. So if it happens, good, but still, we're going to take control regardless, and the people will be the winners at the end.
Perfect. So that's well said. Trump Jr. could also end up being, if it's true that, Kennedy Jr. is still alive. I don't know. I've had some very prominent, very credible people like David Straight say that he's still alive. I've had other people that are right up there in that level of credibility say he's still alive. There's no pictures or videos that really have emerged of him. There's been some renditions of what he may look like today. That story alone is going to freak the living daylights out of the normies. Is it possible Trump Senior retires as, goes through first, second term of presidency? He'll probably take over the next 2 years of this guy, the resident Biden, and he'll run again in 2024, and he's the president again 2024 till 2020, 28, I believe, right? And then Junior takes over with Trump Jr. as the vice president. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, I think that last one, I think you nailed the head on the hammer. I think a likely scenario is Trump initially serves out the presidency, but then gives it over to FJ Jr. and Trump Jr. as president and vice president, respectively. But there's what I call a short narrative and a long narrative. The long narrative is that Biden remains in power until 2024, and then Trump gets elected. The short narrative is that that Biden suddenly steps down due to health concerns or to mental concerns or impeachment, over the laptop and, the Pizzagate stuff. And I'm not talking about the pizza that you deliver, Mel. I'm talking about the other pizza. If that is the case, then we can see Biden likely be removed from office even before 2024. And I agree with you. I think Trump may initially become president just to facilitate the transition. But there are people that say that he will actually continue on as a kind of king with the princess and then give the presidency to FJ Jr. and Trump Jr.
Yeah, in that case, then we're going to need the med beds because we're going to need to age regress this wonderful man who wants to see, because at the end of the day, look, CryptoRick, you can have all the billions of dollars in the world, but if you have a family, you got daughters, sons and daughters who have you have grandchildren, you could take your billions of dollars and stick it where the sun doesn't shine. If we slip into communism, it doesn't mean nothing because those grandchildren, they're going to be working at the local Publix or the local supermarket pushing shopping carts. And they're going to be enslaved. So Trump understands this probably better than anybody. So that's why we're moving. But 2024, I think, is a non-starter because 2024, I don't think we're sustainable if we go through all of 2023. The other day, I was complaining about a gallon of juice in Costa Rica where oranges grow plentiful. Oranges, papayas, mangoes, as many as you want. Unlimited supply. No empty shelves down here. And, we're talking, it went from $12. I went today to the supermarket to $14. Oranges grow in Costa Rica. Do you think this is deliberate? I mean, what do you think that somebody from Washington, these bad actors are calling down Costa Rica and say, hey, make sure you get that gallon of juice to $14. We want to make sure that we break these people. What is behind this madness? That's what I want to know. What are your thoughts on this?
In terms of what my thoughts on what's going on in terms of
inflation, the deliberate inflation and the manufactured inflation.
Basically, when a candle is up towards its end, it starts to burn brighter, right? And so that's what we're seeing here is they know their end has come in terms of the existing financial system. So their point of view, okay, it's going to crap. Let's just print till we die, basically. Mm-hmm. So now they're printing like madmen. And inflation is going through the roof. And for them, they want to basically give it one last shot before they flip the switch and to keep kicking the can until they're ready, geopolitically wise, to flip the switch. They're not ready right now to flip the switch. They have the technology, everything's there ready and waiting, but the geopolitics is not ready. And so that is why we have rampant inflation. And I agree with you. I think vertical farming, where every house grows their own trees in between and you could just freely pick off, that would be something of the future.
Yeah. Okay. NESARA, this Ripple lawsuit. I think personally, the Ripple lawsuit is all another manufactured theatrics of sort for the masses to keep them sort of entertained while they slow things down for NESARA to roll into town. I know for an absolute fact because Rod Steele with Dr. Charlie Ward, that's one of our video series at QFS1776.com. He reads from manuscripts, documented manuscripts, official documentation that NESARA was signed into law. Again, this is for the new people. 0.00009% of the world's population is here. The rest of the world is still to get here because they're deadly afraid of this digital assets. It's like, they think that the digital assets they don't understand it and they're afraid of the unknown. So my question to you is, do you think the lawsuit is a real lawsuit, or do you concur with me as to the fact that this is being slowed down because they're not ready to serve the wine yet?
I agree with you. It's a phony lawsuit. And I knew this because I started seeing Ripple yacht parties on Instagram. I started seeing Brad Garlinghouse, or should I say Chad Garlic-Mouse, sitting there drinking, this orange juice or orange champagne, and he was all smiling and laughing. We know the SEC already done some meetings really earlier on. Basically, you're right. It is just a fraudulent show. Just to there's many reasons we can talk about, but basically the SEC case is just a phony case. But people have to understand the backdrop to Ripple, and I'll quickly say this: Ripple was the continuation of Bitcoin. So to understand Ripple, you got to understand Bitcoin. But what was the purpose of Bitcoin? The purpose of Bitcoin was it was created by the NSA, and David Schwartz has the patent, the DLT patent, with the future intention of CBDCs, but also galactic currencies, which we'll talk about soon. But Bitcoin was bad, so they upgraded it, and Stellar was actually nicknamed the secret Bitcoin project. And then Ripple basically came into effect. So for many years, they've been trying to create agnostic supranational world currencies that could be used here and in other realms to facilitate remittance. So this is something that's been in the works for many, many, many years. And the people behind this were initially the black hats, like I mentioned. But the Ripple technology has now been captured by the white hats, and some people are saying still the black hats. And that's how it's going to be effectively used. So yes, it is just a farce. And can I just say, the other XRP YouTubers have what I call Hinmanitis, a disease where they only talk about what Hinman's doing, what the documents are doing. They're clearly out of the loop. They don't understand what's the politics. And that's why me and you, Mel, and Vasan and some other people, we're the new XRP army. Forget the old army, right? I don't care how long they've been in the space. They're old, they're outdated. They don't know what they're doing, right? Not one of them mentioned the public and private ledgers. Not one of them mentioned the important things that people want to know. They just keep talking about Hinman and documents and amicus and this. And just while I'm here, I want to say something that many people might not know. My belief is that John Deaton is a Psyop, an implanted Psyop. He's got a former military industrial background. He was former military. He's former second lieutenant. He's a Navy Marine, all right? I'm not saying all Navy Marines are like that, but what I'm saying is, how did this guy come out of nowhere saying, as the unelected XRP representative, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that? And he always seems to not be, like, if this is a fraudulent case and a phony case, why do we have this parrot pretty much saying, the SEC and all this, and we're fighting? He's lying to people. If what we're saying is true, he's a Psyop. And people saying, well, why is he going to be a Psyop? Maybe he is the intermediary for a possible buyback, but I'll talk about the buyback theory later on. But I think, Bubba Cugs, Mr. Poole, all these people are psychological operations to foster adoption into the cryptocurrency space, so that when the CBDCs basically, if they roll out, whether it's retail CBDCs or the good ones or the bad ones, these people are helping create excitement, facilitate these psychological operations to basically break the resolve of people in cryptocurrency. And I don't like them one bit.
Well, my argument is this. We know that we're going into NESARA. We know about the debt forgiveness. People have been on my show. There's more people lined up to come on my show with debt forgiveness, with documentation. Okay. As a matter of fact, my friend Mitch, who just had $27,000 credit card debt just go away, he's got 5 more lined up. He's coming back on the show as soon as these other 5 are going away, and they're going to go away as well. The flat tax, in my opinion, and I always said this, I haven't said this in a while, but I'm going to say it now, because there's always new people, and it's also for his audience as well. As we're gonna cross-pollinate, we're gonna build this new Army 2.0, and the XRP Army 1.0 are gonna have to capitulate and join us, because the only story, it's not the Hinman emails and all the bullshit that's going, the amicus trial, the judge, and 1 minute the judge looks like they're on our side, the next minute they look like they're not on our side. It is a confusion, and it's deliberate, it's intentional, it's by design. Okay, so the NESARA, the flat tax, the UBI, the XRP with the 35 trillion transactions per second, the XLM, the XDC, the fact that Iran and North Korea were the first two countries to sign on the dotted line, say, yes, we're all in on NESARA. This is an absolute fact. Every country's on board. There's going to be 1,000 years of peace. You can't go to war with your neighbor unless it's justifiable, unless you were invaded or something of catastrophic. It's going to have to, all the nations have to sign off, say, yeah, okay, India, you can go kick the shit out of Pakistan. Oh, yeah, Pakistan, you can go, well, there's not going to be any wars anymore. There's not going to be any need for police as much anymore because we're going to graduate. We're going to get to 4D. Some of you are still in 2D. I'm sorry to say. You have to get to 3D before you get to 4D. Okay. The central bank digital currency. I've talked to some of these guys on camera and off camera. I'm talking about XRP Army 1.0. And they're basically saying, yeah, you know what? We have to give the bad guys a crumb so that we can get rich. What good is it if you're going to get rich, Rick? Okay. And somebody else has the ability to turn off your money. Hello, is anybody home? That's why I say this is the biggest struggle. The bank's goose is cooked and it is coming out of the oven. And the delay is the fact that the central bank digital currency that belonged to the banks, which they want to just continue with their ongoing shenanigans to print digital, money until the cows come home. That game is not going to stand in this new world of NESARA. You're not going to have programmable money where you're going to walk down the street. Oh, there goes Mel Carmine. He's got a negative 672 credit score. He's got a negative 692 score against the government. And no, he cannot travel. He cannot buy a loaf of bread. He cannot buy a hamburger. Are you kidding me? If you guys think that this is the world we're going into, I hate to tell you, whatever it is you're smoking, please, by all means, with all due respect, put some in a box and ship me some down here in Costa Rica, because I am not concurring with that story, okay? This is a bullshit story on steroids. We're going to go into a flat tax. Right now, we got 7,200 multi-billionaires. These are the guys that make the Forbes 500 list, not the Rothschilds, not the Bilderbergers, not the Vanderbilts that are worth hundreds of trillions of dollars. Those guys are just, we don't even talk about those guys. We're talking about the ones that are out in the open, the Bill Gates, the George Soroses, and so on. Okay. These are the guys that make the Fortune 500 list, the biggest billionaires, whatever in the world. They pay zero taxes. They hide behind their 501c3s. Most of them pay less taxes than a college professor, for crying out loud. Okay. They have yachts. They have champagne, they have cocaine, they have women with enlarged breasts, okay? This is ridiculous. Their three-dimensional mindset is going to go away. They do absolutely nothing for humanity, and they realize CryptoRick's about to become super wealthy, so is Mel Carmine, and so is Gilliged, and so is Kabbalah Guru, and so is this new army of people that are coming into this new world called NESARA, that they're going to have so much money, so much more than the 7,200 multi-billionaires right now that are on the Forbes list, that we're not going to know what to do with all that money. And the interest alone is probably going to put us in a position where we can create heaven on earth by what? Creating another humanitarian project every single month. You know why? Because our money is working for us. And we're making so much money that we have no choice. By default, we have to create all of these different, and they can't sleep at night. They can't come to reality that, oh my God, Mel Carmine, oh my God, Black Swan, Verson is going to be a yes, absolutely. They fell asleep at the driver's seat, Rick. They fell asleep in the driver's seat in the sense that they poo-pooed this XRP. When they realized that, holy shit, the world's about to change, this is going to be the biggest disruption in the history of the world. This is it. This is going to make Skype, when Skype came onto the scene, it destroyed all the bell companies, all the phone companies for the house. People say, I could call anybody I want, anywhere in the world, free of charge. What the hell do I need a phone for on my wall? Get rid of that thing. There goes $29 a month that they're saving. Big disruption. Those guys got paid $4.8 billion to go away. Okay. this here game when the guys who invented this XRP thing, the Brad Garlinghouse, the Chris Larsons went to the banks. They said, get away with that shit. They didn't realize what it was. Had they realized, they would have embraced it. And we, meaning me and him and a bunch of you guys out there, would have never got their paws around this XRP thing. There is going to be a buyback, in my opinion, and it's going to be huge. Give us your take on what you think how big is this XRP? How big? Because this new world we're going into, see, they keep putting all of this emphasis on this old world that we're leaving. I'm talking about XRP Army 1.0. They keep focusing on all this bullshit, and they are so sophisticated, and they went to college, and they know those 18 fancy words, and they try to razzle and dazzle you. And they're talking about a world that is going to what? Disappear. I want to focus on the world that's coming, not the one that's disappearing. You feeling me? Mm-hmm. How big is it going to be, Rick? Seriously. Lay it on us.
Look, the XRPL technology is going to be the next thing since sliced bread, right? And it's going to reach a very high number. But I want to clarify and make a little bit of adjustments here. Sure. There's something called the private ledger, or what we call a federated sidechain. And we got the public XRPL network, right? The public XRPL network, it is mandatory to run on XRP, okay? So that is going to see a lot of value because all the public remittances, public taxes, public real estate, that's going to go on the public. The private is, however, walled off, aka the walled garden, by doors. And on this little side chain, you've got these validators who are self-elected, and they're what we call federators. They control the flow between the private and the public. The private it's its own blockchain, the XRPL blockchain. And it's like me and you, right? We can create our own private XRPL sidechain, and we can decide by consensus, if we're the nodes, we can agree on a token, and it doesn't have to be XRP. It could be any token. And we could agree, okay, let's run Shibu Inu on the XRPL network and agree to a price because it's by consensus, right? And this is a contentious topic. People are going to disagree with me till the cows come home. People need to look up a federated sidechain. And what Vassan Al-Jarrah was saying was basically they've got this private ledger, which they agreed by consensus. And this is what Jimmy Valley was saying. It doesn't have to be real value, okay? It could also be agreed upon value because that's what the power of the sidechain can do. They can agree by consensus. They are the nodes, right? And the public nodes, the public network can't scrutinize the private nodes, right? So this is what people don't know is that the CBDC, the private CBDC ledger does not necessarily have to use XRP. It can use the technology directly, or it can elect to use XRP if it wants, or it could use another token that we don't know about. Now, this is my 2 cents on the matter. The IMF would never accidentally spill out ESDRs and say, oops, the public wasn't supposed to have accumulated that. Let's try our best now to reel it back in. No. The one that they're using on the private ledger, that's a non-tradable asset token. We don't know what the name of that is. But basically, we can't access it. So the whole argument that, but if there was, like David Schwartz said, but if there's friction, someone can make a business out of arbitrage. Neither me nor you, Mel, can access the private ledger and make arbitrage and buy and resell, buy on the cheap, sell on the high. We can't do that because we don't have access. So that argument is mute, right? Then someone said to David Schwartz, okay, if it can't be arbed, if there's no arbitrage, can there still be a price differential? He said, basically, it's not XRP anymore, it's another asset. So this is my conclusion. Anywhere between 0.5% to, let's say, 30% of the private value may move, or what I call, I'm not going to use the word merge, but it's going to be mirrored through the federators onto the public chain. So we're going to see some value leak in, but it's not going to be the full value. And people are saying, this is a screw job from Ripple. No, it's not. It's just to give them their privacy. So to summarize, XRP as a public token powering the public main chain will reach a high value because all the public utility will be put on there. In addition, we'll have this private leakage of value. But because we don't have access to these private side chains, we may not see the full potential of XRP as retail. And this is why the banks haven't bought up all the XRP from all the exchanges, because that's public XRP. That's the token for the public network, which the central bankers are not interested in. They're interested in the private CBDC layer and the on-demand liquidity. And that on-demand liquidity XRP is vaulted from our XRP because it's vaulted to prevent fluctuations, because our XRP is too fluctuant and they don't like that. They want something stable. So they have their own vaulted it could be XRP or at least access to XRP. So they may not hold it, but they're using it. So this is what I'm saying to people. It's a nuanced argument, is that, yes, XRP is going to go to high amounts, but that's when we're referring to the XRP that we hold, that's the public value. The private value we'll never have access to, and that's a separate kettle of fish.
So the XRP circulating supply, private ledger and public ledger, is still the same amount, because people out there are saying, oh, there's 200 billion, there's 100 billion for the banks, and there's 200 billion for the public. That's not the case, correct?
What I'm saying is there may not even be a private token. They could just put the CBDC on the XRPL rails and send it through, and it gets changed over. And people are saying, no, that's ridiculous. You need to have the token to use the private. No. The public needs the public XRP to facilitate on the XRPL network. The other one, you can use any token. And this is on the Ripple website. You can use any token you want. You want to use Shiba Inu to move money? Fine. You want to use Stellar? Fine. You want to use whatever? Fine. They've got Ripple technology that does it directly. So to answer your question, the supply, we don't know what extra supply they have. They may have an extra supply. And my gut feeling is they probably do. And it makes sense, because if you had 100 billion shared between 100 side chains, you wouldn't be able to, and all those side chains ran on XRP, you wouldn't be able to have enough tokens to manage all the side chains. So they have to have their own token to interact and be interoperable with our XRP to enable all these side chains to work.
That's the key word, interoperable. It's a fancy word for compatibility. It's not like, if you own a T-Mobile phone, you can only talk to T-Mobile customers, okay? You got to be able to talk to AT&T. You got to be able to talk to Sprint. You got to be able to talk to everybody. And this is what this is all about. It's about interoperability, okay? It's about the liquidity. And the liquidity means all of the money. That means we're moving all of the money. And when you're talking all of the money in the new world, I want to forget about the old world. As far as I'm concerned, the old world is being flushed away. It doesn't even exist. I don't even want to waste my saliva talking about this ridiculous, rambunctious bullshit. Oh, the Hinman emails. Oh, the judge said this. Get the hell out of with this bullshit already. I'm so tired of listening to it. The XRP circulating supply then is the same. It's not different because there is a private ledger. Perfect. PolySign. This is, I think, a major breadcrumb to drop. If PolySign was to, for example, January 9th, okay? January 9th, by the way, is a very significant number because it's the number 6 right side up, okay? Which there's a very significant date, January, right? With that number. So anyway, PolySign, I think, is going to be a major breadcrumb to drop. I think PolySign is going to keep the central bank digital currency in check for NESARA. There's going to be strict rules. You're not going to be judged on what you think about the government, on whether you could buy an airplane ticket or a bus ticket or a train ticket to travel from point A to point B to point C. You're going to be able to buy anything you want. Freedom is coming. The central bank digital currency, if it survives, is not going to be able to print to infinity so that they can become fabulously wealthy again. And it's the same old shenanigans. There's going to be a set rule in place. What those rules are, we don't know. We're speculators out here. Listen, guys, when you get inside our movie theater, I hate to tell you, there are thousands of moving parts. That's why the XRP army, my friend, doesn't want to come here. It's very difficult to decipher what the hell is going on here. And they have a short circuit. You know what I mean? I mean, Verson said it best. He says, at best, he says, maybe 10% of the XRP army understands what is really going on here. And we said maybe 4 or 5%. And I think those numbers, and I think you might, I think I'm going to graduate you to XRP 2.0 today, brother.
That's it.
Okay. So PolySign and the airdrop of Spark, because, you know, Verson said you need a spark. The engine needs spark plugs. The spark plugs need to ignite the gasoline so that pistons move. When this happens, folks, this is when we are in motion. Okay. This is when it's all going to happen. PolySign, the banks of tomorrow, in my opinion, are going to be called, some of them are already calling themselves that, financial service centers. And they're not going to be able to bleed you like they did in the past. It's going to be a different set of rules that they have to abide by. They are no longer in charge. We are. The PolySign is the software that says your bank survives. You got the gold to be able to back the paper, ZIMs, the dinars, whatever, the rainbow currency. And other banks are literally disappearing. I know there's a bank in your country recently that just supposedly went away. It was tied to the Fed, correct?
Yeah, that's what the theories that are circulating is that they
right. So the PolySign is a major breadcrumb. The Spark flare drop is going to be a major breadcrumb, and I believe the software is going to make things simple. That's when the masses come. But when the masses come, the XRP, in my opinion, once you have the Kabuki Theater lawsuit, the bullshit lawsuit over, XRP will immediately jump to $20-30 very quick. As soon as you have the Spark coming in that's going to complement the XRP and the smart contracts and the PolySign, which makes it easier. So the masses come, it's like logging into your Bank of America. It's like logging into your Chase account, your digital assets, let's call them by its proper name. They're not cryptos. Crypto is what they want. They want you in the crypt. They want you dead. Okay. Your digital assets are going to sit on a debit card, and it's business as usual. You log in, they do an eye retina scan, they do a thumbprint. You're going to get a text message to your phone with certain numbers to make sure it's you. You log in, you put in your password, you put in your key phrases. Voila, you're inside your new bank account, and it's all digital money. It's been digital for a long time anyway. You go to the bank right now, it's not like they go chop down a bunch of trees and print a bunch of money and put it in a bank and then lend it to you. They just say, okay, you want to borrow $250,000? They put $250,000 in the computer. Voila. They just created money out of thin air. It's been a Ponzi scheme for a long time, folks. The game is about to change, and you got to pay attention. You don't really have a choice. Where are you on PolySign? What do you know?
Well, what I know is that PolySign is basically started by the same people who created Ripple and Co. They're funded by a lot of big foundations. Basically, it's an institutional type custodianship. So you pretty much say, here's the custody of my XRP. And they take your custody and they then can monetize and bring it into the financial markets. I like to say it's the State Street 2.0. So State Street, for those that don't know, they're custodian. They have rich investors, usually over $150 million. You make an account and they can invest it for you. My view on PolySign, however, is that I'm happy to give them maybe 15% of my hypothetical digital assets, but I'm not going to give 100%. Why? Because once you surrender 100% of your assets, you no longer own it. That's why they call them custodians. They are now custodians over your keys, over your cryptocurrencies, your digital assets, right? So for me, my strategy would be, and not financial advice, is sure, you can give 15% and let them stake it or leverage or do whatever you want with it, right? But don't make the mistake of giving someone else, even if it's a reputable thing, 100% of your custodianship.
Right. Staking. Let's talk about that. Is there a way where we could stake, where we could leave the money directly on our hardware wallets and just show the proof of funds to create the leverage? The word you just said is a very, very important word, so that when we create the leverage, they can go ahead and lend money out to businesses, mortgage loans, car loans, whatever the case may be, where they're making, 2 or 3% interest, and we're getting maybe 1/4 of 1%. But because you're worth, $12 billion, 1/4, 1% on $12 billion is a shitload of money that you can't spend, even if you were buying sushi that costs, $800 a bite.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be more services where they offer you staking directly from your hard wallet, kind of like a Ledger style, Ledger Live type scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But I would never give my assets to where I don't have full custodianship. We've made that mistake before, Mel, right? We've given over our money to the banks and they screwed us and they stabbed us in the back and they said, your money? No, actually, it's our money. No. Once bitten, twice shy. And I'm telling you, no one is going to take away our digital assets. We're going to pry them until our grave, pretty much.
You're going to have to take them out of our dead hands, is what
Correct.
You're saying. I love it. Okay. The country central bank digital currency that represent each country and their individual monetary system, which at some point, I think it's going to go away, because if we got this beautiful bridge digital asset called XRP, and it could move money back and forth, and XLM and XDC and Hedera Hashgraph, all of this money that's going to be able to move. Why do we need all these? Right now it's like the wild, wild west. There's, hundreds of banks. They're all creating their central bank digital currency, and they're manipulating the market. They're manipulating the market because they can't really make profit with what's going on right now. As far as I'm concerned, this is a very confusing game. They haven't figured out how to not lose their power. They're losing their power. Hence the reason why we went from a $3 trillion market cap down to like less than $1 trillion market cap, because the big boys and girls upstairs are pissed off. And they're using Wall Street, I think, to manipulate the market to a certain extent. Where's your thoughts on that? Do you believe that we're going to have, all these, just 26,000 cryptos or digital assets out there, 26,000, probably 27,000 by the end of January. There's not room. Obviously, we know that Brad Garlinghouse says 99% I'd say 99.99% are going to go away. There might be maybe 20, 30 tokens left standing when this is all over. Correct?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's going to be a great crypto purge, but it's not just that they're going to go insolvent or bankrupt. I think that people aren't just going to see a value to use it. So why would I be using Polkadot when I could be using Algorand? That's basically how it's going to go, is that, okay, they might not go insolvent, but really their use case is going to be very limited. The ones that don't offer something really meaty, people simply aren't going to buy it, and it's just going to be like forced obsolescence. If you're not offering this military grade ISO bank compliant coin, why would I pay my payroll in Solana? Sure.
Well, look, at the end of the day, like I say, someone's got to win, someone's got to lose. I'm on the NESARA team. When I realized a couple of years ago that, hey, wait a minute, Klaus Schwab is not on the field all by himself and he's unopposed. Somebody else is there, and that someone else happens to be NESARA. From where I'm standing, at least, we know we're winning by a score of 100,000 to nothing easily. I know that this turkey may take a long time to still come out of the oven. I say prepare for the worst. Pray for the best and prepare for the worst. Worst case scenario, I'm thinking 2025. Best case scenario is this lawsuit with the, court, Supreme Court of the United States turns out in our favor. They reinstate POTUS. Obviously, things will be pretty expedited, I think, if Trump can come back. He said it's going to be a nice Christmas. What do you think about those words?
Yeah, look, Trump says a lot of things, and he said, "Oh, it's going to be the most important day," and then nothing much happened. All I'll say is this, right? Ripple released a statement saying that by 2024, 50% of wallets will be using digital assets. So that implies to me that the abridged timeline might be by the end of 2023. In that case, I don't think they're going to flip the switch with Biden in power, because they're not going to, no way in hell they're going to give him credit, right? So Biden has to leave the scenario, whether they choose whatever narrative they want. If it's going to be on an accelerated timeline, it's going to be through that. If it's not, we're going to have to wait till 2025. But going back to your previous question as well about this fraud. So recently I saw that there was Tether, and Tether is obviously creating all these coins. And the way they launder the money is they give it to exchanges like Binance, and they pretty much launder the money and then recycle it back. And they've been basically doing this for a while now. And once the Tether crash happens, we're going to see the purge and then the rise of the quantum financial system. But I do see that at least by the end of 2023, early 2024, something has to give. I don't think it could wait completely till 2025. I think the wheels will be in motion by then. Hopefully. Yeah.
Obviously, we're not going to be able to take the train and put it back on the tracks in like a weekend. This is going to take work. This is going to take all hands on deck. And that's why we're trying to wake up as many people as possible. I'm not in competition with anybody. Keep saying, hey, start your own podcast, start making some noise. Don't worry about messing it up. You'll mess it up. I'm sure when you started your podcast, you weren't great, were you?
Nope.
Exactly. But eventually you start to get it down pat, I know that, things are definitely moving in the right direction. I know that the military is in motion, but in the United States, we do have a militia. And believe me, all options are on the table. And if we have to go militia, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, do not fight each other because you have different political views. There's no reason to do that. This is going to be a very different kind of civil war. If we have to get into a civil war, it's going to be us against the politicians. And we're going to go and chop the head off of the beast directly. I don't give a flying rat's ass that my next door neighbor is a flaming leftist. I don't care that he wants to pay $14 for a gallon of orange juice when I don't want to. Okay. I don't give a shit. What I'm going to do is if the militia gets activated, and there's been in the United States, because the police have been disrespected. Now, I don't particularly like the police. I'm not a fan of the police. Okay. They treat you like crap most of the time. They wear their badge. They get on a power trip, etc. I know how they hire these guys. I know some of the questions that are on the application when they hire them, and they're not nice people, most of them. There's some good ones, but most of them suck. Okay. I say that publicly. But a lot of the police officers in the United States, Rick, have joined the militia to the tune of over 650,000 in the last, 24 months, 25, 26 months, what have you. And we have a very formidable army that practice every other weekend in the woods, something in the neighborhood of about almost 9 million militia members across the United States. When you take that into account, that's 9 times the size of the army of China. Okay. Will all of them take up arms if we have to move into that direction? Hopefully not. But if that happens, guys, go after the head of the beast. Do not fight your neighbors for having. Eventually, they'll come around, they'll get it, and they'll say, yeah, okay, we were right, whatever. But it is what it is. Guy, I think this is a great podcast. Is there any closing statements that you have for our people, and any words of wisdom, any words of encouragement, etc.? And then I'm going to hold you over for about maybe an extra 5-10 minutes. I know it's probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon over there in Australia. So it's getting here to be my bedtime, but I had a great time, brother. Close us out.
Yeah, look, I wanted to say that everything is already, the chess pieces are moving. We can see in the Vatican, they've already walled off the Russian embassy. There's a big wall. We saw the bombs or whatever go off in Washington. I think there's some underground clearances and things of that nature. The chess pieces are moving. That's the first thing that I want to say. Second thing is, don't wait for all these things to happen. Even though NESARA is, probably going to happen, we need to each contribute to the NESARA. We need to bring about, if you're someone of a health background, why not start already the rollout now? If you're someone from the legal, why not already do it now? Why are you waiting for someone else, right?
Yes.
The third thing I wanted to say is, XRP, XLM, all of those things have greater utility than you'll ever know. As I mentioned to people, Stellar, you can see the symbol of Saturn, right? Galactic currencies, supranational agnostic currencies that will be used far beyond anyone could even possibly imagine. Things like IOTA. Do you know what the M in MIOTA stands for? It stands for million. When you buy a MIOTA, you're buying a million or a mega IOTA. And where have you heard the terms mega, killer? Electricity, right? Kilowatt hours. Every time you use a kilowatt hour, you'll be using MIOTA credits, right? So there's all these ISO coins are extremely precious. We should stop with the Hinmanitis, and we should stop with the distractions. At the end of the day, my phrase has always been, keep the faith, hold the coins. We're all going to make it in the end together. And let's surf this Kali Yuga together. Kali Yuga is a wicked period in the history of Earth, but we're surfing right now, and we're doing it with a smile.
Absolutely. Well said, brother. Again, don't forget to follow us on Rumble. QFS1776.com is the holy grail of what's to come. You can get educated in like a couple of weeks. You'll know what's coming, and you definitely want to go immerse yourself in that. And it's free of charge. You guys can afford free. Unified TV down below, the gold and the silver delivered directly to your door, okay? And if you want to buy a lot of XRP, $1 million worth, as much as you want, there's no limit, okay? I believe that my guys or the guys that are being utilized, when you hear somebody purchased 250 million XRP today, trust me, they go to my guys. Guys, it was a pleasure. Don't forget to sprinkle us out there. It's very important that we beat the algorithms. There are some chess pieces moving on the chessboard in the social media realm. I understand that Mr. Musk may give us the opportunity to record 2-hour videos. And so maybe YouTube is going to have to soften their stance a little bit. I think that's in play. Thank you. We'll catch you on the next one.